Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and today's video is once again sponsored by Audible. You can start listening with a 30-day Audible trial, get one audiobook and unlimited Audible original monthly downloads, absolutely free. Just visit audible.com/jingles or text jingles to 500 500. With this month's free Audible credit, I plan on listening to, no big surprise here, yet another James D. Hornfischer World War II extravaganza, The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors. This one tells the story of the frankly unbelievable events that occurred off the island of Samar during the Battle of the Leyte Gulf on the 25th of October 1944, when the escort carriers, destroyers and destroyer escorts of Admiral Clifton Sprague's Task Force 3 were surprised by the overwhelming might of the mightiest battleships and cruisers that the Imperial Japanese Navy had to offer. 4 battleships, one of which was the Yamato, and the Yamato alone displaced more tonnage than the entirety of Sprague's Task Force 3. In addition to the 4 battleships, Admiral Kurita's center force also included 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers and 11 destroyers. Standing against them, Task Force 3 consisted of 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers and 4 destroyer escorts. Now when you hear the word aircraft carrier, you often think of things like this, but that's a fleet carrier. Task Force 3 consisted of escort carriers, and they look like this. And these tiny little carriers were being escorted by 3 Fletcher-class destroyers, the USS Johnston, Howell and Heermann, ships exactly like the Fletcher-class destroyer that we can see Vasily One Bonk Only, love that name by the way, captaining in today's battle. Taffy 3's only other protection were 4 John C. Butler-class destroyer escorts like the USS Samuel B. Roberts. And if you're wondering what a destroyer escort looks like, here you go. And yes, they're so small they make Fletcher-class destroyers look like heavy cruisers. Faced with the overwhelming might of Admiral Kurita's center force bearing down on them, Admiral Sprague's orders to Task Force 3 were somewhat understandable. Get the hell out of there. The escort carriers were ordered to make smoke and head for the protection of a rain squall to the east, and the destroyers and destroyer escorts were ordered to cover them with their own smoke screens. It's safe to say that the destroyers and destroyer escorts exceeded their orders. Captain Evans of the Fletcher-class destroyer USS Johnson decided today was a good day to die and attacked Admiral Kurita's center force, soon backed up by the other Fletchers, the Howell and the Heermann, as well as the destroyer escort, the USS Samuel B. Roberts. What followed would pass into the pages of legend. And while I hate to leave you on a cliffhanger, you can hear all about it in James D. Hornfischer's Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors, my audiobook recommendation for the month of October. Remember, you can start listening with a 30-day Audible trial. You get one audiobook and unlimited Audible original monthly downloads absolutely free. Just visit audible.com/jingles or text jingles to 500 500. I really can't recommend it enough. The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors is one of the most astonishing stories ever told. Anyway, back to today's battle. Vasily here in the USS Fletcher had almost managed to single-handedly capture Bravo here uncontested, but at the last possible moment, somebody or other slipped into the cap. It's not the King George V. He's not inside the cap circle yet. The friendly Baltimore, who came with him precisely for this purpose, has provided radar coverage and revealed the presence of an enemy Mayhan. The Mayhan's reactions are a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, he pops his smoke screen once he gets detected, which isn't going to help him at all, of course, because he's been radared. And he manages to turn to avoid the torpedoes, but that just drives him into the island, which leaves him a sitting duck for the duration of the radar. He sort of uses damage control in order to fix his engine and extinguish the fire, and he started reversing off the rocks, but even though he's no longer detected because the radar's expired, he's still getting shot at by just about everybody. And of course, when the friendly Baltimore spots him again using his hydro, he's turned the wrong way and sailed out into open water instead of reversing it to cover around the side of the island. So there's first blood and the first kill of what are going to be many. Next, it's the turn of the King George V, who was also contesting the cap, but there's no way he's going to see Vasily, thanks to the double smoke screen. Or at least there was going to be no way he was going to see Vasily until an Albemarle sails into the cap circle as well, and pops his own hydro. Now, fortunately, the Albemarle is taking cover behind the island, so he's not able to shoot directly at Vasily, but the King George V can. Vasily weighs up the pros and cons of continuing to contest the cap circle here at Bravo by staying inside hydro range and decides that discretion is the better form of valour. He slips out of the cap circle, also putting him out of the range of the Albemarle's hydro, unloads one set of torpedoes, keeping one in reserve against the King George V. Sneaks back into the cap circle, but obviously he's instantly detected by hydro again. The Albemarle must have tucked in right up against that island over there. But that's a bit of a good news, bad news situation, because while he is detected by hydro, in order to have him spotted this close to the edge of the cap circle, oh, and there goes the King George V. The Albemarle must be tucked right up against that island, which means that the Albemarle wasn't able to shoot at him. The island was in the way. He's given up control of the cap circle momentarily, but the Albemarle is probably not going to last much longer. And his hydro isn't going to last forever either, although possibly, in fact probably, long enough to give him advance warning of those torpedoes. Still, he's not the only one shooting at the Albemarle. There's a very generous amount of armour-piercing shells streaking in overhead, and the Albemarle has taken a lot of damage. And it looks like he's bugging out, although still inside the cap circle, at least for the moment. Oh, there he is, and he's spotted, which must mean the smoke screen's dissipating. Thankfully, most of the Albemarle's turrets are pointing in the other direction, although the secondaries are able to fire, and the rear turret has now swung around. Yeah, that's far too much like a fair fight for our tastes, thank you very much. Tuck in behind the island, managed to get a fire set. It's likely, given the amount of damage the Albemarle took, that something got broken that meant he had to use his damage control earlier, and the fire is continuing to burn. The friendly Baltimore is continuing to deliver some 8-inch good news packages, and he's not the only one. Vasily deliberating whether or not he should actually fire here, because he has managed to go undetected, and it's only the Albemarle's rear turret that's still capable of engaging him, but the Albemarle's on extremely low health now. There's an excellent chance of a third kill here, and at very little risk. Again, it's just the Albemarle's rear turret that's capable of firing, and it's fired at him twice already and hasn't hit him yet. Third time lucky? Well, good news, the Albemarle did actually hit him, and didn't do an awful lot of damage. Bad news, that wasn't actually a third kill for Vasily. That one belonged to the friendly Colorado. More good news, the cap circle at Bravo just became a target-poor environment. And he's managed to finally cap with the assistance of the Baltimore, without whose radar and hydro and fire support that would have been a very, very tricky situation. It's not all good news. The enemy do have 2 of the 3 cap circles, but thanks to the 5-2, actually now it's 6-2 kill ratio, Vasily's team are still well ahead on points. Enemy Osterjotland spotted over there. That can't be good for him. Nagato up ahead. Friendly King George V has taken a lot of damage, but the Yugamo is still intact. So, ooh, that was a nice hit. I think from the Colorado. Okay, torpedoes out against the Nagato. Careful to remain undetected. Don't want to warn him that torpedoes are coming after all. Now the Osterjotland has lost a large chunk of health since we last saw him. And there's a fairly safe opportunity for another kill here, because he is going to have his guns all pointing at the ships that are currently shooting at him. And if he thinks he's safe, he is sadly mistaken. This, of course, is getting Vasily spotted, which is going to give the Nagato the opportunity to turn in or away and perhaps avoid some torpedoes. But the Osterjotland is dead, and guess what? The Nagato is too. So, 4 kills and a double strike. So, with the destruction of the Osterjotland and the Nagato, there's nothing to stop the team. Forgot how to speak English. There's nothing to stop the team from flipping the cap at Charlie. And those 4 enemy ships, the Eagle-Eyes now, who just went undetected, but don't worry, we'll be seeing them again real soon. The York, the Colorado, and the Udeloy are the only 4 enemy ships remaining. So, I think it's safe to say we're fairly confident that there's not much chance, outnumbered 10-4 as they are, that the enemy team is going to win this match, although you never know, as we used to say in the Navy, whenever somebody said something that sounded like they were getting a little bit too confident, stranger things happen at sea. Udeloy's popped his smoke, Vasily has popped his torpedoes. Nice big juicy torpedo magnet type smokescreen there, which has hidden a Colorado, a York and the Udeloy. Wait, there's the Colorado. Oh dear, he stopped inside the smokescreen. And there's the Udeloy. Now the Udeloy is not bad in a gunfight, and even though the Fletcher is definitely not bad in a gunfight at medium to short ranges like this, that's still far too much of a fair fight for Vasily to be interested in. He slows and pops his smoke after trolling the Udeloy into firing, which means he's going to stay visible. Stand by for kill number 5 in the Kraken Unleashed. And there it is, and Confederate into the bargain. And the York, whether he's running Hydro or not, has done it far too late to avoid being hit by 2 of those torpedoes. And there's kill number 6. That just leaves the Colorado, who's still inside that smokescreen somewhere, and has just eaten 1 torpedo. And the Gneisenau. The torpedo hit on the Colorado has also caused a flood, which is continuing to tick. So either the Colorado isn't using the damage control for a single... Oh well, now he's got a flood and a fire. So if his damage control is available, he might want to think about using it now. Don't forget, a flood also causes your ship to slow down and lose manoeuvrability. Not that that makes too much difference in the case of the Colorado. He could have been completely undamaged and there's still no way he's getting out of this alive. Fresh torpedoes on the way. I don't think the Colorado is going to survive long enough for those torpedoes to make any kind of a difference. Vasily's up to 134,000 damage. There's one poor sucker on his team, and there's kill number 7. I mean, this has been such a comprehensive ruffle stomp. They're winning 10-1 with all 3 of the caps. The enemy team has 1 surviving ship and 34 points. This has been such a comprehensive ruffle stomp that the Akatsuki on Vasily's team has only managed to do 7,000 damage. It just... Every time he's attacked something, it's died before he's had the chance to actually land any of his torpedoes. I don't think the Gneisenau has much of a chance. I mean, I don't know where he's going. He's obviously trying to run away from his pursuers. But, well, there's nothing in that direction but the map border, sunshine. I mean, all you're doing here is delaying the inevitable. At this point, with 3 caps under their control and 955 points, it's just a question of what's going to happen first. Is the team going to reach 1,000 points, or is somebody going to kill that Gneisenau? Vasily certainly seems to think he has a chance. Unfortunately, however, the score timer thinks otherwise. There's 991, 997, and that's it. 1,000 points, match over. Gneisenau escapes with his skin, if not his honour, intact. And to my eternal shame, although to probably nobody's great surprise, it turns out that I didn't even notice that there was a second double strike in that battle. The first against the Oyster-Yachtland and the Nagato, and the second, obviously, I'm sure most of you probably noticed and have already pointed it out in the comments. The second double strike against the Udeloy and the York. So, a reasonably productive result, I'm sure you'll agree, for Vasily, 1 bonk only in the Tier 9 US Navy destroyer, the USS Fletcher. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.